Hey guys, here's a handball program, so we're gonna do some quick introductions. First off, they do a lot of long duration, moderate running, moderate to mild running. Not a whole lot, not like football where they stop and start and sprint a lot. A lot of single leg jumps with throwing patterns mixed in there, throwing, catching, and blocking. So some common injuries here from that pretty frequent movement pattern. Alright, here's our positions, like it matters that much, just in case you wanted to know. Alright, so our warm-ups here. We use a lot of wrist and upper body, so we're really going to make sure that we're getting the blood flowing and those joints loosened up pretty well. Ankle rotations, and if you have any questions on what those are, let me know. Alright, preseason. So our preseason is we're going to be trying to build some strength, endurance, and power, while also working just a little bit of hypertrophy, on these for our first little bit, and then we'll focus more on strength on our accessory movements. So first, backward medicine ball throw to get us started, and then a pause front squat. Get us comfortable in those positions. So this is dumbbell RDL. Sorry, I forgot to mention the dumbbell. And then we're going to work lunges, a little roll out. So we're going to start with power movement, a strength movement, and then our accessories, finish with a little core and a farmer's carry, kind of build a little more strength, but also some endurance. Alright. So, and then we'll go to a med ball chest pass. So our split here is lower, upper, finishing with a light conditioning. And it's going to be 4 up, 1 down. Oh, by the way, this is that 3 sets of 10 is of their 3 RM. That was not mentioned. Sorry about that. Oh, they're 1 RM. Sorry. So we're going to move down here, go to a med ball chest pass, developing some power in the upper body while also working that block high pull, which is a lot more posterior chain, so it's a little bit more legs too, but hopefully working their traps. And then we'll move to a barbell bench, keeping it shorter strength there, and then the accessory work of the row, banded pullovers, dumbbell reverse flies, and then a fartlek run. So because of that long duration running, but they still have to be pretty quick sometimes, so they keep that. And so that banded pullovers. They're gonna set the band up in usually at a pull-up machine, a pull-up bar behind them. Wide grip here, pulling down and relaxing, making sure you're nice and tight right through the shoulders. Alright, and so we're going to move on to the kettlebell snatch. Remember, we're teaching a lot of these movements and just getting these movement patterns ready. That's why we started with a med ball backwards throw. So we're going to start with the kettlebell snatch. Nothing too crazy. Keeping it nice and light. Just increasing weight. And then an overhead squat, because they need to be strong in this position, so we're working off that 3 RM. And pistol squats, because I want them to be strong, sturdy, and balanced, but we're starting from a box, so there's nothing too crazy. Then we'll move to the Cossack squat, because I want their glute medius firing, ready to go, feeling strong. And then partner hamstring push-ups, so we can kind of mitigate those ACL tears. And then hanging leg lifts and some planks. We're going to finish with those. We're going to finish with a little core. And see how those progress. Sorry, should be a 6 sets of 10 each side on. I got to 20. Sorry about that. So we move the push press here, get a little vertical power. So working that power. We're going to start 75%, but we're going to keep climbing. Wide grip pull-up. Kind of build that back. And honestly, we just need to be good at pull-ups. If we can't pull our own body weight, then what can we do? Banded push-ups, so we get a little more of that, we're going to get some horizontal pressing. Machine low row, so it's nothing too taxing. Kind of keep it moderately low on the hypertrophy side. And then some interval sprinting, so after, a long week. So the next mesocycle. Here we have moved to the hang clean. And we're still working on that power, but so we need to, I don't want to play around anything higher than 85%. This will be a tough week for these guys at the end by week 9 because they need to be able to constantly produce that force, but nothing more than their body weight in the game. So we're going to move to that full front squat with more of a strength focus instead of a hypertrophy focus because we've already learned that pattern pretty well over the last 5 weeks. Single leg RDL with the dumbbell. There'll be 2 dumbbells. Really building that, so we're kind of building the strength there on those hamstrings and that upper back to hold that position. Keep them with lunges, and then we've moved up in our midsection game. So we're kneeling rollouts and then some mesocycle side tosses. Gotcha. And then we're going to push. We've moved it to sled pushes, so we can kind of sled pushes the same variation. All right, and then we're going to do a single arm med ball pass. All right, so it's going to be the same thing they were doing, just the regular med ball pass, but we're to one arm this time, moving up slowly in weight. And those weights are variable player to player, but I think that's where they would start for the most part and get the most out of it without having it. And then we're going to hanging high pull. So instead of from the blocks, we're going from that hang position. So this would be nice, pretty low weight to start, but give them time to build up. Then we're going to move to that close grip bench because that's a little more applicable to throwing sports now that we've kind of developed our chests in general. A barbell, bent over barbell row. And so we're moving to the cable pullover, and then the dumbbell ITYs kind of get the posterior shoulder nice and firing with some 40-yard sprints. Now we've moved to the hang snatch. Now that once I'm confident in their kettlebell snatch, we're going to move to that hang snatch. And then an overhead squat. And so that is of the 3RM. My apologies, it stayed the same thing, but we're working that for, we're starting at 70%, kind of increasing, and then we're going up to 80% of the 3RM. Building that strength there in that position. And so we're going to full pistol squats here, not from the boxing, where they're going all the way to the ground. And then we're added kettlebells to the Cossack squat, and then Nordic hamstring curl. Brutal. And then our hanging leg lifts, really focus on the eccentric there. So really slow down, and then a Bosu ball plank creates some more instability, kind of make your core engage a little bit more. And then so we kept the push press, but we've moved up those intensities just a hair. Now we've added weighted pull-ups, really build the back, but we're still staying in that lower range, only 3 to 8. We developed plyo push-ups, working that horizontal power, and then a wide grip machine row, build that upper back, and now we moved to 400s to kind of end the week with decent rest intervals. Alright, so last week of preseason here, we're going to the full clean. Now that I'm comfortable with their hang clean. And it's going to get relatively intense, but nothing too crazy because the volume's a little down. And we've moved to the back squat as well. And then we got single leg RDL opposite dumbbell. So kind of like that contralateral. So it's going to have a dumbbell in their left hand, but their right leg will be what's moving. So they'll definitely be going down in weight here, but we'll be moving up slowly but surely, and they'll have that on each side. Then we move to the Bulgarian split squat just because we need to get away from lunges and kind of focus more on that quad. So now we're at the standing rollout, and those are pretty tough. So the volume's down a little bit, but we're kind of going to build it every week, and we're going to go back to week 1. The end of this is going to be our test week, and I'll show you what the test looks like at the end of the off season, because that's where the original was put. Jumping med ball push. So what that's going to look like. Freaking table. Oh. So you're going to be holding the med ball, jump and throw it. Jump and throw it. So we can kind of build that. Build that up for our guys here. Alright. And so we're going to start with a high pull from the floor, and then we're going to add fat grips to the bench because grip is kind of important on this. And then barbell row with a pause at the top. And then we're going to do that same cable pullover, but right at about that 45 degrees. They're going to have a pause, and then we're going to do banded pull aparts and stadium sprints. Kind of give some good conditioning while still sprinting, but we're not going to have a lot of that eccentric loading. Kind of give them a little off there, and then we're going to move to our full snatch. It's an overhead squat, pistol squat. That's supposed to say pause at the bottom, not at the bottom. And then Cossack squat with a 2-second pause on the at the bottom with that kettlebell. And then bodyweight hamstring fall, so they're just going to build that eccentric because we're still loading that, trying to build these hamstrings on our guys so they're not dying so bad, so they're less likely to get that injury. And reverse dragonflies, just because we need some good core work, and those are brutal. So, and we're going to build it slowly, and that last week is just going to do 2 as long as they humanly can. So cable stability holds on each side. So that's going to be 3 by 10 seconds. What that'll look like, and we're going to be building that time each time. What that's going to look like is they're going to get in athletic stance, have the cable, and they're just going to hold here, kind of keep, so they're actively fighting against that. It's going to be anti-rotation. They do both sides. Make sure we're doing both sides, right? Really building that core stability. These guys, really building our core stability. God, am I just drunk or tired? Who knows? As we go, so where was I? Yeah, so building that core stability. And so we're going to move to our push press again. Lower the volume here, kind of up the intensity. So our banded pull aparts, or banded pull-ups. So the band is going to be against them, not with them, if that makes any sense. I'm going to make it a little harder so it's some of that, what's the word? You know what I mean. We're pulling against, the band's going to be pulling against them as they pull up. And then we're going to do plyo push-up to a riser. So we're building more of that pushing power dynamically, and we're going to kind of keep it relatively low here. Slowly build up as we can. All right, and then a reverse grip row, and we're going to finish with sets of the 800s each day. So I'm only going to do one, kind of get an idea of where we're at, and we're slowly going to build from there, and then we're going to go back to that one and kind of test it out. And then so week 16 It's going to be a test. So we got a deload here, kind of give our guys a break, and then we'll see how they're feeling on this test week and make sure that we're in the right spot. So preseason, let's go to the in-season. All right, man. We're just trying to make sure these guys can maintain some modicums of power when they're doing all these volumes a game, because in-season is very long. It is 5 months. So what we've done here is taken essentially 10 weeks without changing what we're doing. So our exercises will not change in those 10 weeks, but how we're doing them after that first deload week here is. So moderately low intensities, nothing too crazy, and then we're going to drop back down to that 5 sets of 1. Alright, so we're going to start with the hang clean, the front squat. We're going to go right back to that hang clean. Everything we're doing is kind of building up the back. I don't want a lot of pushing because they already do it so much in their game. So what we're going to do is kind of maintain our hypertrophy and maintaining strength and power with just a little bit of hypertrophy work, definitely in a lot of the pulling motion, and keeping our core and conditioning together. Nothing too crazy. We'll start with those interval row sprints. So interval sprints. They only have 3 rounds. They're going to do 10 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Slowly build that in our front planks as well. And drop down right there. And then we're going back to the kettlebell snatch with some dumbbell high pull. So we're really forgot to mention, we're only going to be in 2 days a week. So each day is going to be kind of loaded, but they're going to have some serious time off in between. It's going to recover. Alright, and so here we're going to move to our the banded cowboy walks. So that is working those glute medius. What that's going to look like, just in case we didn't know. The band be right here just above the knee. They're going to be stepping out and up, stabilizing against that weight. Working that knee stability so we can definitely lower the chance of injury while they're in their game, but nothing too crazy, just 20 yards and 30 yards and 40 yards, and just for the one, so they're not overdoing it here. Definitely trying to get away from some overuse injuries. Banded straight arm pull down and banded hamstring curl. Alright, so the banded straight arm pull down. What that's going to look like, friends. Same thing, straight arm here, boom, down. That's it. And they're 800s, nothing too crazy. The intensity will be based on how they're feeling, really. And so that's our first 5 weeks. So from there, we're keeping those movements the same at the top there, and then we're gonna add fat grips, a thicker band. We're gonna slowly move it up, nothing too crazy, because remember we're just trying to babysit these guys, and so we've moved those sprints into just long duration, and they'll do 5 minutes light to cool down. So we've moved from dumbbell bench to barbell bench. And so we've moved our pistol squats, sorry, kind of glossed over that. We've moved those KB pistol squats to, they're doing it from the floor now instead of on a riser or a box, however you want to call it. Slowly building that weight. So here, and so we've kind of done an isometric, slower cool down, or slower and then thicker band. And we're going to do the 4x400 at moderate pace, right? We're going to keep it at 4, and then we're going to go 1 for time, see where they're at, and then just do another one, just relax. So here's our second set of exercises. We've moved to the power clean, keeping that same intensity, so we're not beating these guys down at all. And then we move to the back squat. Kind of that strength, maintaining strength, slowly building it. We're not peaking them out or anything, but we are kind of testing them a little bit. Move to a barbell incline and banded face pulls with a raise. So what that's going to look like, here, what they're going to be doing, they're going to be pulling the band here and then here. So that shoulder rotation, really building that shoulder girdle. Everything we're doing here is just kind of prevent injury. And then we're going to do our Bulgarian, so banded face pull into the Bulgarian split squat. Cable lat pull downs, they're 3 seconds for time. Going back to those kneeling rollouts, and then air. So we're just to switch up our modalities here, while still kind of giving them a little bit full body on that. We're moving to the air assault bikes for sprints in the same manner we did our rows. And then, so barbell power snatch. We've moved from the kettlebell after, 10 weeks of using that kettlebell. I'm sure they're sick of it. Barbell high pull from the riser. And then we're going to that KB pistol squat. So we're going to build that eccentric, but nothing too crazy. We're still going to keep that weight pretty low. Chin-ups. So move that close grip bench and then chin-ups. Classic squat, low row, glute ham raises, hanging leg raise, banded knee pulls, and then fartlek runs. And those are all based on how they're feeling, but make sure we're keeping that aerobic base up here. And so as we moved on, thicker bands, kind of just increasing or changing. So we've done here is we've moved that high pull from the riser to the floor. And then our close grip bench is moving to, they're going to pause at the bottom and explode up. Still keeping it very low because I know they use this movement a lot. On the bottom, here we go. And then we're going to continue with the fartlek runs, and just all based on how they're feeling. Kind of keep that base. So for our off season, the goal here is really building hypertrophy and strength training. And our off season is very short. It's really only, oh, got them backwards. Great. All right. Yeah, our off season is only 10 weeks. So we started here. We're gonna go with the hang clean, get that movements, feel powerful in the top there. So what we're doing here is we want to strengthen endurance, teach power movements, and get them ready. So we're keeping it at that 75% there. Move up. Yeah, so week 4 is going to be pretty brutal on the hang cleans, but nothing too crazy. I'm going to have that back squat, teach them that. And then do a reverse lunge. So we're going to start in reverse lunge here. Start here. Oh, well, you probably need to see my feet. Start here, and they're going to start at the top, go back here. Really focus on the quad and that VMO. In the off season, we really want to build that aerobic motor. So in our lower body days, so we're back to 4 days a week here with that 4 up, 1 down. Went to the lateral med ball throw. Sorry. The Roman chair, basically, it's a variation of the hanging leg raise. We're back to that banded cowboy walks here. So we're starting with that wide grip pull-up, keeping it pretty low to start just to make sure our guys can do it. And as we move on, so we'll go to that cable high row. Lateral dumbbell raise, give them a little shoulder work there after they've had some time, they've had a little bit of time off. So our hanging snatch, start the barbell, nothing too crazy. We're going to teach those movements, keep it at 75% there. Bam. And then we're going to move to our incline bench, chin-ups, diamond push-ups, kind of giving a little variation on their push work. So we're not overdoing it with one movement. More rows, some overhead, some dumbbell overheads, and some wrist curls. Get their wrists ready because they're going to be doing a lot of work in the preseason when they get to practices. And then 800. So here we're doing more. We're slowly building up this aerobic base. I want a 1.5 mile run. Then we're going to 2, 2.5, 3, and then we're going back down to that 1.5. Here we're going to go with our 800s with 2 minutes rest in between, then 3 with 2 minutes rest, 4 with 2 minutes rest, then 5 with 2 minutes rest. And so we're really trying to build that aerobic base while also focusing on a little bit of hypertrophy in these. So we're gaining through volume here. So the second part of our fiddlesticks. Like how I censored myself there. So we're gonna move to the power clean. It's a little harder, but they're not working through that full range of motion, and we're back at that back squat. We're really trying to build so we're basically basing everything off that 10 RM on the back squat because they need that strength endurance. These guys are constantly running. They're not getting a whole lot of breaks. And we're going to go with the walking lunge. Really hitting the volume here to build it up, kind of give them that aerobic base. We've progressed to hanging leg lifts instead of the Roman chair, and then just dumbbell side bends, a little bit extra. So we're going to move into that push press, keeping it relatively low, and jumping up here to that 80% mark, while dropping down to set a total volume of 15. Move to the barbell bench. Yeah, and then we're really working the eccentric on that wide grip pull-up. Tricep kickback because they're going to be working, we can never not have strong enough triceps in this, especially because if they fall a lot while they're throwing, because they do that jump throw. The banded pull apart, work that upper back so we can have some good stabilization for that shoulder. And then lateral dumbbell raise so they hold at the top there. And then mile repeats, little 1, 2. This is nothing too crazy. They're getting a solid amount of rest in between, keeping the volume, keeping the intensity a little low. And so we'll move to the power snatch, overhead squat, 3-second pause at the bottom because I want them to be strong in that position, but also mobile enough. I'm hitting that from the 10 RM there. Do a split squat, single leg RDL, supine ball pass. So that's where they're going to be laying down. They're going to have just like a yoga ball above their head in their hands, and they're gonna pike that up, pass it to their feet, and extend. All right, then our side planks do a little endurance we're gonna get back to that plyo push up here. With weighted chin ups, kind of switch their variation on what we're focusing on when we're doing those. On our pull ups or chin ups, change the concentration on the back. And then we'll have face pulls, dumbbell overhead press with neutral grip. So we're switching our grip so it's not quite so strenuous on that shoulder. A little focus on the anterior delt. And then we'll go to barbell wrist curls, change up the modality just a hair, keeping that volume so the wrists are nice and built up, but we're kind of building slowly there. And then overhead cable tricep extensions because I want them to have good strong triceps with all this throwing. And then we're going to move to 400s. So we've picked up our intensity while also kind of dropping our volume. And so we're going to have a deload week, and we're going to go, this is what our testing week is going to look like. We're just going to check our guys' body weights. They're going to test their long jump. So they're doing their vertical jump, one-handed medicine ball toss for distance, and two-handed. Our snatch, our clean, they're going to do a push press, an overhead squat 3 RM, a front squat 1 RM, benches, and then our 40-yard dash, see where the time. Push-ups for time, see how that, and then a pull-up to failure, see where we're at. Jackknives, timed jackknives, 400-meter dash, and then a 6-minute test. We're going to see how far they can make it in 6 minutes. And they're going to get a nice break on that Friday. So we're breaking this up over the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then Friday they get a break. Thanks, guys.